All righty. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time to join this Pardon Our Dust meeting for the Sully Basins Retrofit project. Before we get started, I would like the design team. I'm going to ask the design team and construction team to do a quick introduction, and I'll start it off. My name is Ken Trin, and I work for the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services in the Stormwater Planning Division, and I am the project manager.
I'm Steve Lockery. I'm with Triangle Contracting. I'll be the project manager with the team doing the construction.
And I'm Adam Kalawi. I'm on the contract administration side for Fairfax County. And I'll be one of the faces you'll see on site working with Steve and his team.
Matt or Josh, are you on here?
Yeah, hi, this is Josh Poland. I'm a project manager with AMT. I'll be the civil engineer, and I will also be on site helping assist the county and the contractors with the project. Thank you.
All right, and then for tonight's agenda, what I'm going to do is a brief overview of the project, go over the timeline, go over expectations during construction, and then after the presentation, I'll open up the floor for a Q&A. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat box, and I'll try to monitor them as we go. So the project location is in the Sully district. We do have 3 basins that we are retrofitting for this project. 2 of them are in the Sully Station community, and 1 is in the second London Town West community. Why we are doing these, we do have regulatory requirements like the Clean Water Act, Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act, and the MS4 permitting, and those require Fairfax County to manage any pollutants being discharged into waterways. So my group, Stormwater Planning Department or Division, saw an opportunity to help achieve these regulatory requirements. So what do we have out there right now? Starting with the smallest basin on Linden Creek Court, we have a riser structure that is not up to standard. So we will be removing this stub out and the concrete ditches that do not provide any benefit currently. Oh, I guess I'm not screen sharing. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes, I'm sharing. Okay. So I am sharing now, I guess. So I can go back. Again, we have 3 basins with this project, 2 of them in the Sully Station community and 1 in the London Town community. With the smallest basin on Linden Creek Court, the riser structure we will be retrofitting by removing the stub out and these concrete ditches. In the larger facility of Sully Station, again, the riser structure is not up to our standard spec, and they do have concrete ditches that we will be removing. Along with those, we will be retrofitting and restoring the outfall channel. And then the third basin, which is in London Town, as you can see, the riser structure is made out of corrugated metal pipe. which is not up to standard, along with the concrete ditch that we will be repairing. And then just like the second basin in Sully Station, we will be restoring the outfall channel. So like I said, we will be retrofitting these three basins and converting them into constructed wetlands. And really what they are, the purpose of them is for water quality treatment. And we will be having some microtopography, and the intent of that is just to promote a diverse wetland cover. And like I said, we do have regulatory requirements to improve water quality, and with these three basins, we are targeting some nitrogen, phosphorus, and total suspended solids. And if anybody is interested, for the entirety of this project, we are estimating about 50 pounds per year of phosphorus being removed, 300 pounds a year of nitrogen being removed, and then 41,000 pounds per year of total suspended solids. So to get into the details, this is the smaller basin off of Linden Creek Court. Like I said, we are adding some microtopography and removing the existing concrete channel. So with that, we will be extending the flow path from inflow to outflow. We will be adding over planting the facility. And then as you can see, the riser structure is smaller than or retrofitted it to a new one. For the large basin in Sully Station, again, we will be doing the microtopography, adding a longer flow path, along with overplanting the facility. And if you look on the right-hand side, you'll see a path. Once we are done with construction, this will just be a turf path that's unplanted and only has just grass. And like I mentioned before, with this facility, we will be restoring the outfall channel and fixing the outfall. So we will be adding a manhole at the end and outfalling directly into the channel. This right here is the basin in the London town community. Just like the other two, we will be adding microtopography, overplanting the facility, and restoring the outfall. So the construction contract was awarded to Triangle Contracting in February 2021. And on April 19th, they were issued notice to proceed. So you guys should have seen them on site surveying and marking the project limits. And with that, they have sent us a schedule and have estimated 52 weeks for construction, but this does not take into consideration multiple crews or multiple basins or all the basins being constructed simultaneously. With the 52 weeks, this also includes planting. And if they do miss the season, we wait till the next season before we can plant. All our projects do hold a 1-year workmanship warranty and vegetation warranty. During the warranty period, you will not see any construction equipment on site. So who will be on site? Again, Triangle Contracting. Day to day, you'll see pretty much them on site. My design team from A. Morton Thomas, we will have somebody on site 2 to 3 days a week for construction oversight. And then you will see Fairfax County staff periodically through construction. So some temporary structures that you will see are going to be this access path, typically made of timber mats, and it's used for construction equipment to travel. Mainly going to be used off of Basingstoke and Watermark. There are areas designated for stockpile areas, or for stockpile and staging areas, and this is just for equipment and materials. And you will definitely see fencing along the perimeter of the project, sometimes orange plastic fence, and sometimes the metal fencing. And then just to get an idea of where construction traffic will be, for the smaller basin, the only way in and out is off of Linden Creek Court. So they will be coming down the road through the pipe stem to our construction entrance. For the larger facility in Sully Station, we have two entrances, one off of Grovey Pond and then one off of Watermark Circle. There are a few spots that will have parking restrictions, but we will determine those at our field meeting next week. And then the basin for London Town, the entrance is off of Basingstoke Loop. So the type of equipment you will see on site, mostly dump trucks going in and out, bringing and hauling off material, stuff that will stay within the basin footprints, are skid steers, excavators, bulldozers, and loaders. Our contractors are required to comply to Fairfax County safety resolutions, so they will be maintaining a safe, neat, and clean workspace area. On top of that, they do have to comply to Fairfax County's noise ordinance, typically Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and weekends, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. If they are to work weekends or holidays, they do have to notify staff 48 hours in advance. The next couple of slides are going to be examples of completed basins through different phases. So this one was recently completed this past winter, Ben Franklin Basin in Springfield District. And as you can see, this is 1 year, or this is immediately after construction. So everything looks kind of bare right now. But again, it was wintertime. One year following completion, this is West Potomac High School in Alexandria. You start to see some vegetation. And then the Fairwoods Basin going 50 west near Fairfax County Parkway, 3 years after completion, fully vegetated. And just as a reminder, this is an active construction site, so if everyone could just please remember to stay out of the construction limits at all times. This is for your safety and ours. And this is my contact information, which will be placed in the chat if anybody has any questions during or after. And with that, that is my presentation. And I guess we can open it up now for questions.
Ken, it looks like you have one in the from the chat asking where are the stockpile staging areas for each of the basins. I'm not sure if you have that on your pictures and your files.
Let me find it. Let's go back to this. So stockpile locations are going to be within the footprint of the basin. I believe on our plans, we have identified them to be within this access area, but typically they're just within the basin. So again, they'll be within the footprint of the basin.
So Ken, another question is, please provide the exact dates when each project will begin and end.
So I can kind of jump in on that. So exact is, I guess, as relative as we can get because things do fluctuate a little bit. But I can tell you that our tentative schedule is, let's see, the smaller pond, we're expecting to see some on-site work beginning as early as late next week, and the week after. We are having our a site walk to confirm the limits of disturbances, and once that's signed off on, you'll see work there. But again, that work can be as simple as putting down some erosion and sediment controls, the safety fencing, the construction entrance, as well as some tree removal, and then eventually you'll see the heavier equipment coming in, so that the way we're assuming there will not be overlap where each one will be done in order. Again, the first one you'll see sometime in the next week or two, and assuming things stay on track, we'll be out of that first pond into the next one by the beginning of August or so, and into that last pond hopefully by the the end of November, beginning of December. And again, the plan is to have this project completed by next spring.
And then we have one comment, Mr. Curtis, about arranging something in person. And I think, Mr. Curtis, if you could just reach out to Adam and Ken, that they could probably set something up with you. Another question in the chat is, will any equipment or vehicles be parked on the street?
So all construction equipment is expected to be parked within our limits. Only thing on the streets may be a truck or two from the crews.
Good evening. Will any of these activities change any of the FEMA flood zone designations for properties in the area?
Josh or Matt, could I have you answer, please?
Sorry, one sec. We're having microphone difficulties. The answer is no. They will not.
Okay, thank you.
To answer, I think the question that just came in from 5887 Linden Court about construction vehicles being cleared of one project once you move on to the next. That is the current plan. Assuming we do things consecutively, yes, once we're out of one, we'll be out of it and into the next one.
And then another question about, will the project impact any of the wetlands near Cub Run?
So the only impact is going to be in this area right here when we restore the outfall for the Sully Basins or for the Sully Station facility.
Then the next question, can you show the Sully Station map again and explain the path across the field?
So this right here is the Sully Station facility. And with the extended, yep, hello? Did someone say something? Oh, hey, Josh. Did someone say something? No. Okay, and with this is one of the outfalls. Right here is a 4-bay meant for sediment deposit. The path of the water will come through here and come down through here, and the new outfall. Over here is another 4-bay to receive outfall, and they come through into this flow path right here.
Ken, I don't think we were seeing your pointer.
Oh, sorry. There we go. So this is the flow path, the new flow path, and then these are the 2 outfalls. This area right here is a 4-bay meant for sediment deposit, and this is another one right here.
And then there's a question regarding tree removal for the watermark circle Roby Pond Basin timeline. Again, that's the middle one, so we're thinking probably towards the middle of August.
And then going back to the wetlands, there was a follow-up question. So the response regarding wetlands, what does it mean? More outfall, greater flooding into the wetlands? Please clarify that.
This area right here, so we are not increasing the flow. All we are doing is taking the flow, because currently it outflows into a pool and hits the banks and turns. So we're trying to prevent erosion, additional erosion, by adding a manhole and turning the water and having it just deposit directly into the channel. Does that answer your question?
Ken, I would just add, and hi, everybody. My name is Emma. I work with Ken. And I would say that in terms of the wetlands, all permits are required, have been obtained, including wetland permits from the Army Corps of Engineers and through the state. And so, as Ken was saying, flows are not going to be increased as a result of this project. The flows are, there is a new riser structure that will control the flows coming out, but nothing will be increased. And then, the plantings and everything will actually help to enhance that outfall functionality from an ecological perspective.
Christopher, oh, sorry, you're talking about this one right here. This is the Linden Court Basin, and this is currently is the inflow. We have 2 concrete ditches, and all this is doing is short circuiting the entire basin and going right out of the system. So what we are proposing to do or have designed is to increase the flow path for the water. And then again, just over planting the facility. Does that help, Christopher? All right, and then understanding where the trees are going to be planted since they are directly beside your house. Let me see if I can get an overall map or a plan sheet. Sorry.
Yeah, chime in on that one question that came in about how will the community be notified of delays in construction or if construction will continue on holidays or weekends. So I will make sure that Ken is notified of any changes in the construction schedule, as well as again that 48-hour notice that we would have received for weekend and holiday work. And then I'm sure Ken will pass it on to the property management team.
Yep. And then for the smaller basin where the planting is going, it's all going to be within the parcel for this basin. And what I can do is I can show a map showing the property limits. And right here is the footprint of the basin. If this is your home, property limit is right there, and planting will go in this area, and then along the perimeter where there's already vegetation.
I think Mr. Murphy asked about changing the 30 or 100-year flood zone in any way, and that was, I believe, was answered previously. And that response was no FEMA flood zones will be changed due to the project.
Yes. All right. And this is the overall map of the project. Christopher says there's a hard drain pipe. The drains pool would like to confirm it's not impacted. If we're talking about the inflow, actually, sorry. This one right here, all we're doing is hardening the inflow by adding rock steps into this forebay, but we are not touching the pipe itself. And Christopher, yes, we can meet on site in person to discuss.
And then another comment, there are two basins between Groby Pond Lane and Linden Town. I understand this plan is for the basin on Groby Pond side. What happens to the basin on the Linden Town side?
This basin is the one in London Town. And we will be adding, whoa, lights went out. We'll be adding micro topography, just like the other two basins, just to extend the flow path. I'm sorry, it's through this way. And then from up here, coming through and outfalling through here. And again, we are overplanting the facility. The demo of the trees along Groby Pond, are they being replaced or temporarily removed? So let me go to oops. Anything with an X is being removed from the site. The project does identify 18 trees to be removed, but we are replanting over 800 trees and shrubs. These will be removed and will be replaced with even more.
And then a follow-up on how tall are the trees replacing them?
Josh, do you recall what
I would initially I would look at the like the photo you put up of Ben Franklin would be a good example of what they'll look like initially. I'd have to look up the trees. I'm actually unfortunately not a landscape architect, but just if they want an idea of what they'll look like, when they're installed, that post-construction photo you had of Ben Franklin would give a good idea.
Yeah, and I will add, because this question comes up a lot, and the trees that are replaced are definitely not of the size of what is coming out. The larger the trees are when they are installed, it makes them more difficult to keep them alive. So it's a balance of getting something that's going to survive and also having some of that instant look. And so a lot of times, the trees are in that, 5 to 6 foot range. And I'm trying to pull up the plan to see the size that's specified, but that's typically what we're seeing on site. And they have a better survival rate in terms of getting that long-term coverage.
This is the Ben Franklin project with trees that have been planted.
Ken, are you able to unmute Matt Ernest? I think he's trying to speak.
I just did.
Okay. Can folks hear me? This is Matt.
Yes.
Finally, sorry about the technical difficulties. I think to add for the landscape planting, it's trees, but there's also going to be undershrubs, so it's a big variety of plants that kind of create a good habitat for wildlife. So there'll be bigger trees, smaller trees, shrubs, a lot of different grasses and so forth. So it's going to be a good mix of, what's shown on the screen is probably a typical mature planting.
So regarding maintaining the trees and vegetation installed, for the first year, we do have a warranty on them. We will be maintaining and monitoring the trees within that warranty. After then, it is turned over to our maintenance group, and they will be out maintaining the facility. And then to identify the trees such as swamp oak or whatever is noted on the plans to give a better idea. On this, I can try to zoom in on the planting plan. So everybody can see what is proposed to be planted. But having it side by side with that picture is a little bit harder. I can send the planting sheets to the HOA property managers for them to distribute if that would help.
And then there's a question about the trash and debris pickup and who's responsible for that.
I believe it's the maintenance department that's responsible for cleaning up trash and debris. But if the community does see anything in the basins or along the perimeter, any help is appreciated. If anybody would like to speak instead of typing, I can try to unmute you.
There's a question that came in about do we anticipate any slowing of rainfall drainage during the construction? No, we put in diversion pumps and bypasses so that drainage still continues. It just goes around the construction site.
Sorry, I see a few people typing. Um, we can, where do you live? Sorry, I don't know. Or which basin? Shelly.
Ken, I gave Shelley the right to unmute, so you should be able to unmute yourself if you would like to.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, that's perfect. So much easier than typing
Yeah.
in. So there are many, many large trees, and I'm right on the edge of this building. I'm the last townhouse. And it looks like all the large trees are coming out. And by the way, all the kids are pulling out all your markers. I keep fussing at them to stop.
Great. Okay, so you said you're the last home on that row.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I had also asked about that little green path going across the Sully Basin. Is that, I'm really confused what that looks like. Is it a walking path? Is it just a line of vegetation?
So the trees that are being removed in this area, I think there's just like a few bushes in this area, but yeah, we can see if we can relocate. I do have a landscape architect. She'll be on site when we plant. So if there's any modifications, we can always do it on site. And this green path is just a grass path. Once we leave, it just has to stay unplanted. So no trees or shrubs are going to be there.
Oh, but it's still the open green field.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So Ken, there's a question about the view from the decks overlooking Gropey Pond, and if that view will still be there.
Correct. And let me see if I can put this up. So this is the Fairwoods Basin. And again, this is 3 years after with the homes on the other sides of these trees. And the project manager of this one has told me that the community has appreciated and that it has turned this basin previously from just a grass basin that we see out at Sully Station in London Town into an amenity for the community. And there is a walking path that most of the community members at this basin walk around.
In terms of wildlife on that question, Ken, I would just add that as part of the initial planting, geese and ducks particularly love the vegetation that we are planting. And so there will be protection. It's essentially to keep the geese out of there until the plants are able to establish. But then once these are done, you should actually see more wildlife and different birds that are utilizing it than what you're seeing currently in a mowed state.
One last thing to go to that previous comment, if it's possible to stop the children from moving those stakes, that'd be greatly appreciated. We do need those there for our inspection on Monday, and it won't go well if they're not there. So if you can help, that'd be greatly appreciated.
So I see a question from Christopher about mosquitoes and the standing water. You know, the mosquitoes, there will be some, but the ones that we're concerned about carrying the diseases come from smaller trays like planters, frisbees turned upside down, water bottles. With the basins being converted into these wetlands, there are going to be predators that eat the mosquitoes. So within the facility, you shouldn't see any. I wouldn't say you shouldn't see any, but there are going to be animals to eat the mosquitoes.
That question from Mr. Murphy regarding spray paint resistant rock structures, that is currently not the plan. If someone wants to vandalize them, unfortunately, we will have to do our best to clean it up, but that would be there's no preventative measures on the coatings for the rocks.
So I don't see anyone else typing or attempting to type in the chat right now.
Okay. Well, what we can do is we can put my email address into the chat. Let me put that in there for everyone. So if anyone has any questions after the meeting, feel free to reach out to me. Yes, Chris, please reach out to us. And then we'll actually be out there on Monday. And if you see us, feel free just to pop on out. Since I don't see anything else, I appreciate everyone taking the time tonight to join this meeting. Thank you.